and it's not playing. We're not going with the music today. All right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the next episode of Contact Loss, the best Polish English speaking podcast about competitive Warhammer 40k out there. I guess that's the right description. And I'm your host, Week. With me today, I have two amazing guests who are going to help me digest and bite through a topic that I've prepared. I'll explain in a second why I picked this topic and what we are going to be doing. But if you're watching this on YouTube, you see the title already, so you sort of know what we are going to be talking about. Anyway, with me today, I have a great friend of the podcast, the one of the most handsome men out there, really skilled player who has experience with teams, and then I have Pumba. But
Yes,
Yeah!
let's go. I was
so,
hoping that's going to happen.
so I have Nassim Fashane, the star of Team England, um, both Team England
Vice
and solo
captain.
play, vice captain, and then I have
Let's not forget
Pumba,
that.
as I mentioned, friend of the podcast, someone who really helped us take this podcast to the next level. And now this is the description that he deserves. Without him, we wouldn't be where we are, and his insights always help us greatly. Welcome both. How are you? Nas, let's start with you.
Yeah, I'm very well. Thank you for having me. It's good to be on. I think the last time I was on was when I did LGT's Lucky 7 a few years back.
Yeah, it's been a while. So, and I've tried in the meantime, but there were like mismatch of schedules, I guess we can say.
It's all right.
Um,
I'm happy
yeah,
to be here.
Pumba, how are you? And what have you been doing recently?
Good, good, good. Thank you for having me. I'm a little bit sick, to be honest, but normal stuff for this time of year, unfortunately. Other than that, I've been good. I've been to the event that we will be discussing, which is Polish Team Championships. Did quite well. Enjoyed my time for sure. It was the first tournament I went to since Challengers Cup last year. So that would be over a year
Oh
of
wow,
a break from
okay,
events. Um, so
nice
good,
one.
good time coming back. To be honest,
All right, Nas, have you also been that inactive, or has it been different from you? I heard something about prestige, but I'm not
Don't know what you're on
sure
about.
if I got that right.
Don't know what you're on about. I think I've got an event this weekend coming up in Leicester, and then apparently I was at an event last week. I don't know. We don't. No one really knows. It's fine.
It didn't
Yeah.
happen. It didn't happen. All right. So, um, let me explain what we're doing here today and why I brought those two esteemed gentlemen to the show. So, we are going to have a look at the Polish team championships, which is known, at least in Poland, as the one of the biggest holidays, or like holidays, celebrations of Warhammer 40k out there. This year, the format was 5v5, and we had, I think, 64 teams, 68 teams. I need to scroll down to actually
That's a lot
see
for Poland,
68.
right?
For Poland, that is immense. Like 68 five-man teams is unprecedented, I think.
the
So
biggest event we've ever had,
yeah,
basically.
so really well done by the community. Everyone got together. The organizer, I think, outdid himself with the venue, the whole organization, the way that they divided people into pods. I think that
Hmm.
was kind of divisive, but in general, the feedback that I've seen was positive, and Pumba will go into more details about that. And then why we are going to look at is we are going to take the lists and the matrix, the pairing matrix of one of the teams that went there. And there is a reason why we're going to focus on this specific team. This is because here in Poland, in the north of Poland, we have a bunch of teams that travel to events. One of the teams that went, not the one we are going to be talking about, another one, came back and posted their conclusions in one of our discords, and they said, yeah, our our skill in the north of Poland is so. Like the rest of the country is far ahead of us. The meta train or is escaping or has already escaped. We are way behind and we need to catch up. And I was just curious, like he's hearing that. I was never under the impression that we were that much behind. So I thought, okay, let's have a look. Let's analyze this. And who better to analyze it with than with Pumba and Nas? So here we are. And I think, yeah, let's start with the event itself. Pumba, you went to the event. You know exactly what it was. Can you tell us the whole story with, like, just maybe a little bit of history of the event and then how it was organized this year?
Yeah, so Polish Championships is basically considered to be the pinnacle of Warhammer in Poland for years, ever since I was in the hobby, and it was happening way before I came into the hobby. It's considered to be the crowning jewel in the event year, in the event calendar of the event season. It is also the event that is most of the time actually not the most competitive. I mean, of course, there's going to be some teams actually trying for the win, but also there's and it is very clear to see in the bracket and in the amount of teams, a lot of people that have not played the Warhammers for years actually came back to attend. So mixed field, you would say, because of that, and because especially the amount of teams and the fact that we in Poland kind of refused so far to host those events and extend them beyond 5 rounds to have it be more comfortable for everybody to travel to and from, and to increase attendance in some sort. The organizer team devised an idea of pods, so they kind of work like the WTC pods. There's going to be there were teams seeded from both regions of Poland or like major cities, so they don't meet each other in the first day. And then some teams that were seeded based on the overall ranking of their players from the past season, let's call it the
Hmm.
current season, I guess, 2025 season, with the exception of the fact that some people like me have not played the season, so they would undermine the thing, but they worked it out, and apparently going to WTC in the last 3 years was still like 300 points, which is a lot. So the pod system, I think, worked kind of well. Except for one small detail, which is one of the unfortunately the placings or the seedings had a little bit of a downfall, where one of the teams that were definitely favored to win came in the second pot and kind of flipped the whole thing over. Where so the gamblers team, the one that had like Golonka or Maison or other people from definitely top players in the country, were in the second tier, and they played one of the top teams as well in their pod. So the first day, a bit of a fuck up, I think, for the system, but in general, it worked quite well. I think generally because of the event size as well, the system has proven quite well because you could also stay in the same place for the first day, which was very comfortable for a lot of teams. Right, it's the same as WTC, kind of, where you don't want to travel between across the whole event and then across the whole, so you just stick to one place for the entire day, which is very comfortable and nice. I think the system generally worked. It needs some massaging, of course. It was its first try for sure.
Hmm.
But I think, in my honest opinion, we still need to figure out a way, because even with that system going on, there was still mathematical possibilities of two teams going 5-0,
Hmm.
5-0, and small points deciding. I don't think that should be the case. I think we need to find some way to even to the
But
extent uh,
there's
to
something I'm
extend more
curious.
rounds, and like 6 rounds minimum for the event of this size to not have those types of situations potentially happen. Unfortunately, or like rather fortunately, it didn't happen here. We had only one truly undefeated team, so
Mm.
worked out well. And the event was a blast, as you've said, and that was, I think, the general conclusion. Everybody enjoyed their time immensely. It was well organized. The event hall was beautiful. It was like carpet floors, so it was very nice for your feet. It required some walking, of course, but in general, great organization.
Hmm. Yeah, that deserves a shout out. I think the judging team even like created an app for calling judges and stuff like that. So again, we're not far behind the world level when it comes to like organizing events. I think the only one that I heard of that was like that surpasses this was somewhere in Australia where they had like QR codes on the tables where you could scan it with an app and it would allow you to order food to the table from the bar on the venue. That's like one level up, but again, not 100% necessary. And I can't remember where the event was, but I remember I think the normal blokes mentioned that they went to an event like that, and that sounded kind of impressive. But then this one for Poland, I mean, impressive standard. So okay, we know the story, we know how it was organized, WTC format, 5v5, typical like terrain layouts. Any changes to the WTC format there, or did we stick to it one to one?
Pretty sure sticking to the WC format, we
Mhm.
had I think 2 Crucible, 1 Surge Destroyed first day, and then 2 missions of Hammer and Anvil in the second day. Other than that, completely WTC format in every single way.
Great.
Uh, with, of course, not every table played. I think it was 1, 3, 4, and 5, which is the same table, 6, 8, something like that.
Hmm.
Basically dependent on the round. But yeah, everything was WTC tables and WTC deployments,
All right.
and the pairing system as well.
Okay. Nas, a question to you before we
Mhm.
delve into the lists, the matrix, and so on. Um, there are some tournament like team tournaments in the UK as well. You
Yeah.
travel to events and so on. What do you play more? Do you actually play WTC or is it like the UKTC format? And then
So
do you
it's
strive for WTC to
yeah,
practice or how is it
definitely, definitely
organized?
predominantly, I will say, well, at least our larger ones are 100% UKTC because we have the ITT, the international team tournaments, and there's essentially four of those a year. I think there's now going to be a fifth, so like basically once a quarter, and that I think the last one had 70 something teams of five.
Also
Like
massive.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So it was huge, and so predominantly UKTC when it comes to those larger scale ones. But there's definitely, I will say, over the last 18 to 24 months, been more and more teams event centered around WTC terrain with an active emphasis in trying to improve the UK scene when it comes to the WTC setup. There was an event last weekend I went to with Prestige, which is with it was a England selection event. There were six English teams, two international teams, with one of them other nation teams. One of them being Scotland, another one being Ireland. That was 8v8, so that was very good practice in terms
Hmm.
of all of that. There was, I think, a couple months back as well in September, Glasshammer teams. So there's definitely more and more of the WTC ones coming up as time goes on. And there will there's also more coming soon. But I'd say for the larger scale ones, it's definitely UKTC, and for at least the foreseeable future, there's definitely more WTC ones that are coming up with an active emphasis on improving the scene there.
Yeah, makes absolute sense, especially I mean, prep for the event is probably something that all the teams would welcome. So yeah,
Mhm.
that makes absolute sense. And you sound like I mean, I invited you, so I know that you are well suited for this, but you sound even more well suited for this. Let me share my screen. Um, I'll show you the tool that we use in Poland. I'll try to make it the main screen of this
Nice.
presentation.
Wow.
Should be bigger now. So this is the site that we use. I mean, rest of the world uses BCP. We designed our own tool, which works for us, works pretty well. It has its own elo system, blah blah blah. Um, Naturally, you can see what the arena was where we played and all that
That,
stuff.
that is dope.
I'll post the link to that event and to the website in the comments after the show because like there are 68 teams with 5 players each, so there are plenty of lists that you might want to check out. But today we are focusing on one of the teams that kindly agreed to share their matrices with us, and this is MTS. MTS is essentially a team from a lovely place in the north of Poland called Kościerzyna, which I I'm not asking anyone to pronounce, but it's in this wonderful area of greens and lakes and stuff, and we have really competitive players over there. So I'll just go into their lists and their scores and so on. They did pretty well. Out of 68 teams, they came ninth, so top 10. That is an amazing result, and like nothing to scoff at. And the first thing I wanted to do before we look at the matrix itself is to just have a look at their lists. And Pumba and Nas, I'll just open them in a second. Hopefully you can see them. We have them in the Excel spreadsheet as well that I sent you, but so use whichever you prefer to have a look at that. And I just wanted to do a little bit of crunching of the lists to see if they are like the best that you can bring to the 5v5 event, or would you think that maybe there is some room for tweaking. So let's go with the captain of the team who was playing World Eaters, and this is essentially the list. I love the fact that because we have this guy, shout out to Gogi, who is like the I think Team Poland's podcaster guy. He does the podcast in Polish and he analyzes lists and does event introductions, blah blah blah. And now most of the players seem to have started uploading lists with like a short breakdown of the list, so he can do the analysis quicker, which is just really cool because the whole community started doing it just for him. So it makes our life easier as well. So we have World Eaters with Karn, with whatever that is. Um, Master of Executions, 2 times 10 Jackals, Spawn, 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 Forge Fiend, Forge Fiend, Rhino, and I guess just a shitload of Berserkers. 50 of them. Is that the top of the top when it comes to competitive World Eaters? Or would you say there is room for improvement here?
So, like I don't know if Pimble wants to chime in on this, but I'd definitely say the things that stand out to me the most. I mean, it's clearly gone for the 50 Berserker approach. There seems to be a consensus of either 50 or 70 with most players. I think most people go with the 50 version because it gives you a little bit more flexibility. But what I'm more interested in is the fact that he's attached Khan actually over 20 man, because usually what people do is they take the two mounted boys, Juggerlords.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Juggernauts to give both of the bricks +2 move and essentially go fat,
Uh-huh.
Mexico go through walls and just extends their threat range. So it's actually very interesting to see they put a 20 man with Khan instead of that and took a Master of Executions for the 10 man, because usually Khan would go into the 10 man because you're taking it mostly for Khan, and then you'd give the 20 man to the Juggerlord, and also the addition of the 2 Forge Fiends, where people would usually take Exalted 8 bound, some other pieces, and like the Slaughter bound. So it's definitely unique when it comes to that. I don't hate it personally.
I think I generally agree. I especially like the triple spawn. I think it gives you a lot of play in some skirmishy matchups. Those
Mm-hmm.
fuckers are just the worst to deal with, and I think a lot of people don't have an idea how annoying they are to deal with. So you can leverage a lot of the times they will disrespect this unit.
Mm,
They will open the game up. They will need to overcommit into them. It
mm,
really enhances how the world eaters want to play. So I really like the triple spawn.
mm,
I don't hate the Forge Fiends. I think it's optional if you want to bring them. I think a lot of World Eaters players still love them. They love their Overwatch. They love the opportunity that it gives them to deal, to like not disrespect the fire lanes in any way. I would. The only thing I think I agree with Nas, I would definitely love to see the double Juggernaut or the 20 Zergs, because it enhances like it. Without it, I kind of feel the second 20, like the 20 with Moe or Karn, it doesn't have the same
it
threat
just
range. It doesn't have the ability to do what you
yeah,
take the 20 men to do. Like,
yeah, it just doesn't connect as much, right? Because minus like -2 to those basically like to that threat range is big, because a lot of the time what you're concerned about is your opponent is staged up rolls a 6 move 16. An extra 2 inches means he goes from, especially if it's the unit with lust. So basically, if it's got reroll charges up, it's got reroll charges and +1. So it really is able to extend that threat range. Where yes, your unit hits hard, harder with Conman more because it's more consistent. However, I find a lot of the time if you're charging a 20 man into something, if it's connected into the target of the special weapons and the character, it's usually going to do enough damage anyways. So you don't really need that. You would rather have the threat in terms of the positioning, because that's one of the main strengths of the berserkers. You want to make sure that when they go in there, they do connect. and are actually further forward.
One thing I would mention is the fact that because it is built in the way that it is, I think this is really bad into heavy hull skew or like knights or anything like that, because it still doesn't bring the exalted, which are the tool that it like the exalted were given their buff, and they are now the de facto the only tool that world leaders have to deal with hulls and with high toughness vehicles, stuff like that. It completely, I think, cannot play into those, which is fine as long as you are aware of that.
Yeah, I think one of the things I'm pretty sure my friend is the same, but like one of the more predominantly skew armies that we still see out there, that's I think taking almost on every list is Chaos Knights, and after what we found is that even with the 8 bounds, add like the 8 bound as they did, it can score you some points from that matchup. However, doesn't necessarily win it for you. So
Yep.
I think the push he's probably taken here is, I can't play this game anyways. I'm gonna make myself slightly better into these other things rather than taking this. Would be the way that.
Entirely valid approach, in my opinion.
Yeah, I see there was a Lord of Juggernaut.
Yes, but
It's
only
just
with the 120, right?
right.
He doesn't have
That's
Right.
that's the thing. I
Okay.
think we would both prefer to have Karn with the 10 in the Rhino as like a missile unit that hits
Mhm.
extremely hard and then potentially goes back up on a 2 and does stuff again. And the both of the 20 Zergs having the Lord of Juggernaut, because it just makes the unit so much better.
Mhm.
Plus, your move is good.
Yeah,
Always.
like this, the additional fight ranges with the 6-inch pilot consolidation also just flip the games upside
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Completely.
I mean, he also actually lets the unit activate because he gives you free engagement range.
Exactly.
Otherwise, you don't actually get the third rank in a lot of the times. Like
Mhm.
even the second rank is a little bit awkward because not everyone's basing everyone. Whilst that just lets you hit with more. So I think you actually mathematically it's actually quite close when you factor in the rerolls and you factor in more people swinging in.
Mhm. Yeah. Very good insight. I love it. All right. So that's World Eaters for us. Good list altogether. Again, nothing to scoff at. And now we have the orcs. Here we don't have the short summaries, but we have what, 2 beast bosses, a big mech with a shock attack gun, 3 war bosses, Zoltgrod, and this is Bully Boys. Interesting. Beast Snagas 2 times, 3 trucks, Battle Wagon, Breaka, Gretchen, Commandos, Knobs, and Tank Busters. What do you think about orcs in general, and is this list designed for a specific purpose, you think, or is it just like a crazy variation of orcs to try and surprise the opponents?
So I see a couple of things here. My So in general, I think orcs are still very good, but they are extremely. They are the army that scales with skill and experience the most out of, I think, any army right now, or like close to it. I think they are an army that requires a very dedicated pilot to play properly. Otherwise, it is very easy for them to fumble and die and not do their job. I'm going to be honest, I'm not a fan of Bully Boys, but I think I kind of understand the idea behind this list, at least on a principle.
Mm-hmm.
I think the idea here, and please correct me, Nas, if maybe I'm wrong, but the Zodrgot squad just goes into the 20-man Gretchen, and then you have potentially 2 squads of commandos. And I think the idea here is to double Wa and kind of play the lock-in game. And then, of course, you have the standard war bosses with Beast Nagas, the trucks, and the rest of the army that tries to deal damage behind them.
So it's the
But
Gretchen jail, basically.
it's a Gretchen Jail with 2 squads of commandos, which is also like not usual. It's
It's
a
a
lot
lot.
of points. It's a lot of points invested in just not very efficient damage units necessarily, but potentially
No,
trying to jail you for a couple of turns.
yeah, because it's essentially 4 commando squads that you have right there, which is for it's 240 points. Like that's a lot. Plus, when you actually factor in, yes, you can go for like. No, I do agree with the fact that it seems more like, at least compared to a lot of other orc lists, a lot more in the jail sense because of that. Because he's gone through the extra chef pieces. Um, I just don't understand. I guess in this list, the little shooting elements that he's actually added to his list with the tank busters. It feels like it's kind of it's trying to do this role and it's added this other little piece of tech. I'm trying to see what matchups it could be for, but maybe
Maybe
not.
it's like this little, all-roundery sort of
I think it's
approach.
comfort pick, most of the
Yeah.
time. I have a shooting piece, so I'm not just all melee. I can
Exactly.
threaten range.
Yeah.
You cannot stand a rhino on a shooting range because I have tank busters with the sag in like a truck, and they can just pop it.
And the commandos, I know Bovshell because he is from our Tree City community here in the north of Poland, and I know he loves his commandos, and he knows how to play them. Like we had a league game, a local league game, where I brought the new Death Guard on Mortarian's Hammer, and he just went first, managed to get my his commandos into my uh, two Hellbrutes, and the two Hellbrutes were unable to kill them. Like I rolled badly, and they would just stayed locked in combat for 2 rounds, which I guess for and he had 1 unit of those for 120 points. That they like really repaid their value by just doing that, and then we had like a really Paralympics of rolling dice. So my rolls were horrible, his rolls were horrible, and eventually he won. And I think it was primarily because the commandos did the job really well. So he knows what he's doing.
I think it's a list that definitely fits the player. In my opinion, it is not standard. I would say. Whereas, like if we discuss the world leaders list, I think it very much fits the agreed upon playstyle of the army and what is good right now, with some changes maybe because of, like, as we've discussed, not switching to the teams format, so ignoring the whole matchups. I think this orcs list is non-standard. It can surprise your opponent if he doesn't expect the jail, for example. I also think it has less potential to just
Plus one
flip
out.
it, just send at you and just win the game in that sense, compared to like a good Warhorde list with gas and 20.
Mm-hmm. All right, moving on. We have the Chaos Space Marines, and we have again a shortened version, much appreciated. Cypher, Cultist Firebrand, Fabius Bile, Chaos Lord with 5 legendaries, Fabius with Unchosen.
I know this list.
All right,
I
go on
am
then.
well aware of that list. I think
Go
I
on
know
then.
this list, bro.
Yeah.
I've seen it. I've seen it in a London tournament or something.
Yeah, I lost to this list. Bullshit.
Interesting. Tell us all about it.
Well, it was on stream, but yeah, no,
This
it's
is just
the
Liam's list, right?
yeah, it's
Well,
Liam's list basically. It's the very much all comers. I remember when I spoke to Liam in terms of his matrix as well when he was at ETC. It's very much a all comers list that allows you to, because it's veterans, you have flexibility to play most things. You've got the warp talents that are very good at essentially playing in a non-interactive game. He's got essentially quote unquote pseudo free pieces that can play that game. He's got solid shooting, solid combat, a little bit of all round. It's very hard for him to actually push with this type of list because outside of the Fabius brick and the warp talents, which is 2 units, there's nothing that's actually pushing you off objectives. So actually, you can actually play quite a defensive game against it and get a small loss. It's very hard for it to push quite hard again. And yeah, I mean it's just standard CSM good stuff with Oath. Oath with Pacts is pretty good. You can really amp up the consistency, especially with stuff like Warp Talons, which are susceptible to whiffing in some of the other detachments. Having 4 rerolls with sustained hits all of a sudden means that those Warp Talons now
Hit up.
hit up significantly, have reroll hits, reroll wounds, AP2, and yeah, you've got a solid fire base, you've got solid damage, you've got advance and charge with Fabius Bile, you've got the Lord that allows you to move the Oath, and you can deal with people from behind ruins with either Warp Talons or Obliterators who will pop in. They ignore cover and indirect. So, no, it's a very good all-comer list. Seems list, right?
This is extremely all comers. I think it can play most, if not every single army in the game right now. But I think I would qualify it as a blunter list of sorts. Maybe I don't think this can realistically blow out people unless it has a particularly great matchup. I don't think it's skewed in any significant way in that sense.
Mm.
Yeah.
All right,
No, good.
good. Then well done, Mache. If you're copying, yeah, copy from the best. Well done, I
The
guess.
net listing is actually the way you should sometimes do it. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna lie.
absolutely, I agree. Especially if you have skill, and again, I have no doubts that these
Yeah.
guys know what they are doing. So taking
Pumba's a
a
net
risk like
lister
that.
as well now.
Sorry.
Of course.
Yeah, Pumba's also a net lister now, so it's fine.
Then
Always been.
we have Ptashio on Space Wolves, and we have
Oh,
we have
Beast Slayer.
Saga of the Beast Slayer, Logan, Ragnar, uh, Lieutenant. I never know how to pronounce it. Lieutenant with a combi weapon. Whatever that is. Wolf God battle leaders probably. Block claws, intercessors, cavalry, 3x3. Uh, FW was whatever that was. I don't know what that stands for. Can't remember.
Mm,
If let's see.
FW.
Wolfen?
Fenrisian Wolves.
Oh,
Fenrir.
yes. Okay.
Fenrisian Wolves, 2 times 5, 2 times 6
Takers.
head takers. So I guess those are the Blade Guard.
Yes,
Version,
they
yeah.
are like the
Yeah.
blade version of the Vigard.
And then we have Scouts, 2 Vindicators, 2 Impulsors. What do you think about that? And what role does that one play?
So I'm curious about your opinion because I've seen a lot of different Space Wolves lists across a lot of the different events.
Mhm.
I actually think the Beast Slayer is the correct choice over the Stormlands. I know I am like we are here in Poland in the minority with that opinion. Especially it was especially visible at WTC where
Yeah.
Drucker was lining his Beast Slayer
Mhm.
whilst everybody was on Stormlands. I think Stormlands just lacks damage and lacks proper punch, and I think it was especially true in the Knights meta, where Beast Slayer just ran through Knights like it was nothing, and every Stormlands list had it as a fucking terrible matchup. I think this requires more of a table choice than the Stormlands does. It requires more staging points than Stormlands, but I think it punches way harder. What I don't like about this is, and this is probably the only thing that I really don't like about this list, is the fact that it doesn't run any Wolfen, and I think they are an all-star unit in Space Wolves right now. I think I would kind of try to always design a Space Wolves to run at least 2 squads of Wolfen, potentially more. I just love them so much. Other than that, no real complaints. I don't necessarily know if Vindicators are the way to go, but it's preferable. I would love some. I would just love to have some long range shooting to secure the firing lanes from a
Hmm.
distance,
I
because
mean,
it's going to be crowded with Thunder Wolves when you're pushing.
Yeah.
yeah. Hmm.
What do you
Yeah.
think about the 3x3 Thunderwolf cavalry? Because I mean, you do see, I think, like units of 6. But that's the typical Wolf Jail one. So is 3x3 enough? Not enough? Just enough?
I
What
think
do you
for this type of list, I think it's at the very least for me. I think it's fine because the and just to touch back on in terms of unfortunate this, I think I do agree that Beast Slayer is quite good, but it also feels like it's odd because Beast Slayer and Stormlance also sometimes just feel like different lists,
Mhm.
like different armies, like. And I think, at least in the context of taking the free Thunderwolf here, it makes sense to take actually 3 mans and not 6 mans. Whilst in Stormlands, you can have a 6 man go 21 inches, charge, keep someone in, have Wolf. You also give that unit lethal. Is it lethal? Yeah, is it lethal? Or no, Lance.
I think so.
Lance. Yeah, so like you can pump up the damage on that 6 man, and you have the speed to get it in. Whilst over here, because the models are actually quite big, and because you don't
Hmm.
actually have access to advance in charge, they actually end up being quite clunky if you don't
Yeah.
have access to that. So I think the free mans actually make perfect sense, at
Hmm.
least in their use here. And because they're in Beast Layer, you can actually you can do a little bit more damage of them in terms of actually some form of efficient trading. Whilst in Stormlance, you don't really like the issue with Stormlance compared to this is that Stormlance has to do the all in. It can't really trade and play slow. It doesn't really have that button because there's not the damage there,
Hmm.
like Pumba mentioned. Whereas I think over here there is more consistency and more damage, but it's like I said, it's a little bit more dependent on table choice in order to actually sometimes even get up the board when it comes with this. Whilst the Stormlands has the option to just run everything forward, so it doesn't matter as much of the table choice. At least that's my perception on it. It's clearly a good list.
Is this the one, by the way? I mean, I'm not sure if this is like detachment dependable or just character dependable, but does this list allow you to deep strike turn one?
No, it
No.
does not. Nobody does anymore because it was only an upgrade on.
No, 1 second. There's
I think
It's
you still
Poland's
can.
no
the
Logan.
beast. Logan does this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
Maybe I'm completely
let's
mistaken.
look.
yeah. He lets you count as one battle round higher. It's Logan.
Yeah,
So
I
you can
think
still come
that's.
down turn one. Yeah. It's just his ability.
I got beaten by that like last week, so I need to know this because if the guy
Yeah.
cheated, then I'm
No, no,
gonna
no.
punch him in the face.
No, it's
No,
not.
100%. You're correct. I thought you meant because the old trick was
You can count
Cross.
placing
as
a
one
six
higher.
man with the Lord. That was not.
Yeah.
That is no longer the case from the
Uh,
start. But yes,
uh,
he does that.
that is in reserves. If you do until the end of the phase, for the purpose of setting up the unit on the battlefield, treat the current battle round number as being one higher. Right.
Correct.
Is there a good unit to do that in this list, do you think? Like
I think
the
it's still
headhunters?
it's very dependent on the matchup
Because you
because
don't have to
normally
do it, right? You
exactly,
can.
but it's the threat of it is always very nice to have. So that's one thing. I think just the ability for you to do that does a lot. The second thing is I would not be mad about doing that with like an impulsor with health takers, for example. I wouldn't be mad at doing 3 Thunder Wolves in a nice position to skirmish early and kill something and go back into the ruin, stuff
Can you
like
do
that.
Ragnar?
You
Honestly,
could do Ragnar with
just leave
10.
us board.
Exactly. I think there's a lot of targets. It's all
Hmm.
very dependent. There isn't one obvious one because if you see like a 6 man Thunderwolf unit, that's probably it always, right?
Hmm.
Not here, not necessarily here. You need to figure it out on your own during the like the what do you actually want to put into reserves against specific armies and looking at the board.
But just having that tool, having that projection, I guess, when you just inform your opponent that you can do it, makes them sort of stay
A little
back,
more acceptable.
screen, and so on, which is very nice because then it stops them from pushing onto the table, getting onto the objectives, because they have to be very careful how they do it.
Mhm.
So, and then you don't have to use it at all. I mean,
Yeah,
it's just
100%.
potentially there. So very nice. Yeah, sounds like a cool list. Something that might be a challenge to play against. Very nice. Last one, we have Chaos Knights. So we have 3 despoilers, probably with
Yeah, pretty
Three
standard.
Despo with the Gatlings, three
of course,
Nurgle
Nurgles and 3 beasts of Nurgles. Love
and
is
one
the
light
standard.
bearers.
I love the beasts.
Right.
This is the best case nice list, by the way,
I
by
love the
far.
beasts.
Okay.
I think if you there's one change you can do and it's optional. You exchange 1 Nurglings for the enhancement on one of the Despos. Other than that, that's the best case nice list. Is not close. If you take anything else, you're wrong.
Hmm.
That's my honest
You hear
opinion.
that people don't take Rotagus and don't take 6 baby knights.
No, people shouldn't take Rotagus right now. This is the list you should play. The Swedes are right. The Swedes are always right in terms of knights.
Okay. So shout out to Vitalis, who is again a player from the north of Poland, from my team that we play together, and he is trying to push Rotagus into his list. Don't do that, dude. Like,
You can.
you
It's
heard it
just
here.
you just shouldn't.
You just shouldn't. Exactly.
It's not
So,
bad. It's just worse than this. A lot worse.
Suboptimal. There we go.
I need to ask because we are doing like our internal scrim within the team because we have like a team of 10, so we can divide it into a 5v5. And I got paired with my Eldari into so aspect host Eldari, obviously with some fire dragons in a wave serpent, into his list with 3 despos or maybe 2 despos, 1 rampager, rampager, yeah, and then Rotigus and some bullshit. And he said, all right, the table is not in my favor. Tweak, just take 20-0 because this is unwinnable for me. Is it that bad?
No,
Or-
it's really
No,
not.
it's not. It's not that bad. I mean, with the Roticus version, it's because so the thing to understand with Eldar, right, is that the fire dragon unit can really do a number on one of your knights.
Mhm.
But apart from that, you're losing a knight a turn. Like you'll probably be on the losing side of that matchup, unless you use like with that specific list, because yeah, it's very hard for you to interact back. Barotagus is actually a little bit annoying to deal with.
Yeah.
Not super annoying, but annoying enough. Um, but like he is still able to get points out of that matchup with that form of list because you always have the option as the knight player to kind of decide to not play Warhammer, if that makes sense, and especially if the knight, where I assume the knight player has board pick, or you can choose to. I'm going to stay behind this wall, and I'm going to, you can shoot me with fire dragons, but you have to be exactly here, and I'm going to make it so that if you go on this angle, it's a little bit awkward for you. So you just take a closed board, and you can play for a small loss. Whereas, I would say this type of Chaos Knight list is actually significantly better into the Elder matchup because stuff like the Beast of Nurgle are actually fucking nightmares. Because what Elder
Yes.
loves to do is they love to chip you down, movement, grenades, mortal wounds. The Beast of Nurgle gets around essentially all of that. Which is very annoying because if it also lives on one wound, it's that because if you do no damage and the fire dragons don't get any form of rerolls against it apart from the aspect rerolls. So there's whiff potential there. So you're to the point where you have to overcommit. Where if you want to go for a Beast of Nurgle and that's in the same turn, and where you want to go for a knight with your fire dragons, you can't actually split because very likely if you shoot 2 to 3 fire dragons at a Beast of Nurgle, you're not going to kill it. But you need to shoot all of them realistically into a knight to kill the knight. So they're quite good there. They're pretty good with Zelda. The OC3 is also quite annoying. It's a very good list. The Swedes are right when it comes to knights.
Yeah.
So is there a list that this one doesn't want to go into? Is like World Eater is on with 8-bound or something like that, like a counter
Doesn't
list?
care.
Or...
I think it's still favored for it. So this list, I think, and my my team used this list as their first defender every single time at the event. After one of our most difficult games that we had, by the way, we were thinking about we spent around 4 hours thinking about the pairings and all the possibilities, and we came back to using this as the first defender still because it was just legitimately I think it is the best defender in the game right now still, or close to it. It definitely has tough matchups. I think Admech kind of fucks it still, but it's not obviously bad, or rather it can go sour for the Admech player if he makes mistakes. I think it's definitely Admech favored, but it's not free, as in you can just close your eyes and go. Nobody can do that against knights and their current state. I think some matchups definitely are rougher. I think the Ultramarines right now should go through it if
when you say Ultramarines, you mean the Victrix build?
Of course. What do you think, Nas? I don't think it's free. I think you need to be a little bit careful, but I think it should go through it, right? With double, even especially with 12 and G-men, it should be.
Yeah, with 12 and but, I mean the issue that I think the knight players is going to find there is that it takes I think 2 to 3 knights to fucking kill one of those
the one blob of Victrix.
Yeah, exactly. which is insane, right? Because there's still another 2 bricks and an army there. Yeah. So no, I wouldn't have it as a big win for the Victrix, but you like you said, you can't completely disrespect it, and just let yourself get shot turn 1 or just disrespect the angles. But yeah, I'd feel quite favored with the list I'm taking to Leicester going into Chaos Knights.
Okie doke.
I think even in the bad matchups, the knights have the ability to flip. That's one thing, because they're knights, and sometimes you just do that. The second one, you cannot disrespect it ever, because they have enough damage to possibly blow through you. And even if you play for especially on your board, if you play defensively, you might still to actually push their skulls in. It's going to be a rough game, and you might come back with a 13, which oftentimes, as you know, in teams is completely fine.
Absolutely. Interesting. So
if you by the way, I will shout out one thing. If you want to see a Knights player with that exact list do a number on an Elder player, that is pretty good. Bjorn won against Ines at Malmo at their Malmo War Game weekend.
Was that streamed?
Yes, it was on stream, and it was 2 months ago or something, end of October or something. And Bjorn won that game against Ines's Elder.
Was
at
that
the
on
finals.
Veisla or however you
It
pronounce
was
it? Or...
on Board Report. I actually have a link, so I might post it
Yeah,
somewhere.
drop it in the chat or somewhere. I'll put it in the description later.
Yes,
Just
I will.
as a
we're
treat.
just gonna broadcast Innes losing to the world even more.
I
So
mean,
yeah.
I think it's a legitimately great
It's it's a good
game to
watch.
watch. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I watched
Mhm.
the entirety of it because it was just so well played, and I think it highlights of how no game is free if both players are know what they are doing.
Mhm. Okay. So I need to ask something, and this is like an observation that I did, as I said, because I picked up Eldar and I'm training with them for teams, blah blah blah. So I'm not going to click through every single army. You have to trust me on this one. But
Hmm.
out of the top 10 teams in this event, none has Eldar. The first Eldar
Mhm.
list that I found
Yeah,
is
that makes
in
sense.
Team Poznan, which is 11th.
Yeah.
Top 10, zero Eldar. Why is that? Like, are Eldar special snowflakes and very susceptible to the mechanics in the game right now? Or what's the reason?
Um.
Or does it take a really skilled player to play the scalpel sort of army?
No, I wouldn't say it's the fact that it's skill players. So the issue that you have with Eldar, like in eights, you can make an argument for it, but the issue in fives is that usually what happens with Eldar is it attacks something, gets rejected, and it falls into the scrum. And usually there's like you can guess that's going to happen, and there's quite oftentimes a list or two that's actually pretty good into the Eldar that it's essentially hard for it to avoid. Like in a five man,
Hmm.
because the at least with an eight, there's a little bit more management there in terms of you can like potentially defend with it, scrum or keep attacking with it, um, and use it to force matchups and the way up to the point like where that gets you an advantage. But I think like even at like a ITT and like at even at Prestige, not all teams had Eldar because as much as it's good, it kind of sometimes falls by the wayside because it never really gets the matchup that it wants.
Hmm.
So like it's a little bit more susceptible to getting blown out if it goes into like a few of the matchups that it doesn't want to go into really.
Okay. I'm just flicking through to make sure that I didn't, you know, sell you bullshit, but no, none of the
No,
top 10 teams
no,
have
I believe it.
Eldari. So, yeah, and Team Poznan brought an Eldari list. Yeah, okay.
Mhm.
All right. At least
I
I
think
prepared
it
well.
is. I think it is down to the fact that one, I think we have very interesting relation to with Elder in Poland in general. I think a couple of players are way too good at them for other good players to pick them up comfortably if they are trying for the team. And I'm going to just mention that Duda was not at this event. So that explains you why there was no one in the top 10 with Elder, because Duda has a stranglehold on Elder as a faction for like team Poland purposes, stuff like that, honestly. Unless they would be genuinely broken, then of course, like if we are talking release 10 Elder or something like that, that's different. But I don't think they are nowhere near that level. And
Sure.
there definitely are matchups that you can win if you're like Duda or Liam, sure. Like the Admech matchup, I would say, is someone that like after WCW finals with Ziggler and Liam. Liam came out of that exchange with like, yeah, that's completely playable. Yeah, Liam, maybe fucking for you it is, but it was
Exactly.
I completely
definitely
fair.
not for the majority of players, bro.
Same guy who thinks CC is an okay matchup for Elder, by the way.
That's exactly what I mean, right?
It's insane.
So Liam has his opinions that are valid for him and his matrices. Don't trust him as everything he says. But other than that, I would definitely see Elder being pinned. They were not a problem, for example, for my for our team. You
Hmm.
had a lot of people countering them with different lists, different
Mm,
ideas. So like the Admech was one. My
mm.
Raven Guard had a very positive matchup into them. Gito's Necrons demolished Eldar, stuff like
Yeah,
that. Right?
I heard Joker tell stories about this one.
Yeah. So definitely harder time. If you wanted to pin them, you could pin them. If that happened, you would need to have some like an extremely skilled player at the other side to not get blown out. I think Eldar are still susceptible to being completely shredded in the wrong matchup.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's definitely a very rewarding faction in terms of if you have somebody who, like Duda, who plays it, that can play those awkward matchups into like draws to small wins, then
Mhm.
that's definitely worth taking. But the issue you're going to have is like we even had it like at ITT where our matrix into Eldar was like, yeah, we've got one loss, two wins, two draws. It's like, yeah, it feels completely fine, and that was just the case across the board.
Mhm.
For quite a few of the top teams didn't really take Eldar because Eldar wasn't too much of an issue.
All right. I mean, yeah, okay, that's fair. So let's now look at something else. Let's look at what I think every team does in preparation for the event.
Running
I don't.
errands.
I haven't asked the guys whether they actually did this for like all the teams. I highly doubt it.
No fucking way they did.
It's just impossible.
Nobody does this for all the team, bro.
I know.
No,
No, but I mean, like, have they like run through the top teams like gamblers, Scaffalos, and so on, just trying to predict that they are going to meet them at some point if they do well, or how do they do it? Doesn't matter, to be perfectly honest. So I'm adding this to the scene right now. Let's do this and let's do this. And let me make that bigger. Do,
that's what she
do,
said.
Nice one.
so this is what their matrix looked like. The first round was Terraform on Crucible of Battle. We have the tables listed. Everything is nice. I understand that this is the win ratio taken from Champions Hub, which is not probably the best thing to do because it does some wonky stuff with the calculation of the win ratio and so on. So I wouldn't depend on that very much.
Well, that's the person's win rate, just in general.
Well, I checked mine, and it like I played Custodes and Death Guard throughout the year, and then the win rate is somehow only calculated for the Death Guard matchups. The Custodes are not taken into account, and I have no idea why. So yeah, I don't know. I just wouldn't rely on it too much. Or maybe because my win rate is just shite on that website, and I don't want people to see it. So don't go there. Don't check it. But this is the first round that they played. They actually played against Team Poznan, which is the team that came in 11th. That I mentioned. That is the first team after the top 10 that brought Eldar. And I just checked that the Eldar list is the aspect host, so zero surprises there. And then
Avatar, what a hero.
there is an avatar, just to use that one stratagem, because if you don't take an avatar, you're literally playing with 5 stratagems. Again, in Eldar, that's probably like 11, taking into the maneuvers into account. But if we have Dark Eldar with like a lot of Hellions, with Mandrakes, Reavers, the good stuff, 3 units of Scourges. Then we have Tau. And let me have a quick look. Is that what kind of Tau is that?
Monka. It will be Monka, man.
That's Monskai's Farsight.
No, it's retaliation cadre.
Sure,
So
that's fine.
so
That's
the
crazy.
uppy downy droppy one. Then we have
The worst one.
orcs. And orcs were playing Warhorde. Then Aspect Host, and last but not least, we have some Space Marines. And this is Deathwatch, I think, with 40 skill teams and so on. So it has to be Deathwatch.
Correct, it's Scourge. It's definitely Deathwatch.
Yeah. So interesting lists, interesting armies, and here are how the guys assessed it. So we know more or less what the lists were. Here is what the
Wow.
numbers mean. So this is like that looks like extremely optimistic or extremely positive. Now, taking into account the lists that they took, do you think that this is well pointed? We can go one by one. By the way,
There's
we're not going to
definitely
do.
some things I disagree with.
So we're not
But
going to do
there's
like
always going to be.
we're not going to go all full rounds because like we would sit here until tomorrow, but I think we can do like 2 or 3 rounds just to get through the thinking process, your thinking process of how the pairings or the estimations should look like for a list like that. And again, if you need the lists, we can bring them up, or you can
Yeah.
look at them on your side in the Excel because they are there at the end. So World Eaters, we have again these armies, do you think this is very optimistic, or are World Eaters that badass that they actually destroy all of those armies?
Hmm.
I think if that is so, my question would be, and this is incredibly important for this pairing and for this matrix. What is the detachment of the Dark Eldar? Is this Reaper Wager or is this
Having a quick look,
Spite?
I have
I
it on
think
the
it's
other
Spite.
screen.
It
I'm
looks
pretty
like
sure.
Spite.
Yeah, look.
This is Reapers of Wager.
That is crazy.
Really, it's Reapers with that list.
With
It is.
30 Hellions and the
Yeah, it did.
633 Reavers.
Yeah, it
That
did.
is,
What?
and
Really?
it is. This looks like the most.
It only has
Yeah.
10 witches, so
I guess, but
That
still,
is crazy. This looks like the witch cult list. This looks like Liam's witch cult list, almost to the point.
yeah,
Uh,
I'm
so sure,
100% sure
if
it's
that is
Reapers.
the case, then I kind of agree with that estimation. I thought
no.
it would have been
Spectacle.
the
I would have disagreed.
spectacle, and
I would
if
not.
that's spectacle, this is a doomed matchup in my opinion, unless you are Liam or some shit. Um, Overall, I would then sure. Reaper's Virgin I think is better, or like better for world leaders, much better actually.
I mean, you don't have the fight on there for. I'm
Or
gonna.
like the
I'm
charge in
gonna.
your
Yeah,
fucking base.
I'm
Yes,
gonna.
you
Yeah,
don't have that.
yeah,
It's way
I'm gonna.
worse.
I'm gonna go and cock your charge and just say
Exactly.
stay.
Mm.
I think
Um,
Spite would have been very bad for world leaders in general.
All right. Okay.
Mm.
So spot on with this one. Tau.
I think Tau. I think Tau is very difficult actually for world eaters. I think
I don't think it's a good matchup for the Warriors. Like, I think even if it's got like the table pick there, right? Unless you're playing it on like a heavy board. So the thing is, you can always assume with Tau, and I think it's a safe assumption is, that list is going to get a board pick at some point, pretty early on. Not always, but it is real damn good with a board pick. And the issue you're going to run into here is the Tau player is going to put a sorry, not a carnivore, the no, the ghost kill on an objective, and then the issue is that two spawns is not actually going to kill that, and it's an awkward amount of OC where so the body has two options, like I have to send it or I don't send it, which then makes it a little bit more awkward because the issue that then has is that all of the suits are vehicles, so they can just shoot into combat. They don't actually care about the blood set too much, and you reach this awkward game point where you're trying to like hold on to the knees of the Tau player as you drag them down with you, and you score
Mm-hmm.
points by sticking objectives. So I'd probably I disagree a little bit more in terms of this one.
I think I disagree hard on this one. I think it's a bad matchup for world eaters of all kind. Even other table choice. I think if you want to watch this game happen, almost exactly the same thing. You at Content Lost has streamed that matchup at Pyra, at the recent Pyra. World Eaters against Colgar's, basically the same list. I think this is almost to the point Colgar's list. So what happened is World Eaters rushed and they hit a train, and that train didn't stop until it was at their deployment zone. So that's usually what happens there. I think with the mobility that the Tau has and with how good it is at killing those world leader bodies, I think it can just legitimately out resource you to some
Yeah,
extent.
Yeah,
it's not a good matchup.
I'm just looking what the Fire Knights were. We have missile pods, then we have plasma rifles
Yes, the fire knives are the act like very good at
and
shooting
missile
space
pods
marine.
again. Yeah.
And
I'm just trying to figure
Mhm.
out whether that was like 3 units of missile pods or was it? And no, it was 1 unit with
Yeah,
plasmas as well.
Mhm.
I think the free is ambitious with table pick. I think if you go by their estimation, this would more likely be like a two for them over here.
Hmm.
Like if they were to get what's it called table pick, but basically it's not a great matchup because the issue you're gonna end up having is like as the warrior players does it, you're gonna be in combat, your shit's not gonna be dead, and you do no damage anymore, and then you just keep getting shot, and you
Mhm.
die. You die very quickly.
Trying to find and see if it's possible in Champions Hub to see how he did individually, and he played into the Drukhari. Okay, he didn't play the town after all. So okay, but we have orcs. So how do world eaters do against orcs? Like you have two combat armies. Essentially, does it boil down to player skill? Does it
Yes.
boil down to okay?
Amen. I think this is entirely skill dependent. How comfortable are you into that matchup, and how do you rate your opponent? I'm going to be honest. I have seen Brian Saib and Anthony Vanilla and Elder or fucking Orc players in the entire world, and like Alex Taus and everybody else agree or like disagree about this matchup all of the time since the beginning of 10th edition.
So you would make it pink like a flippy one. It could be 5. It could be 15.
No,
I would just let my player decide if they are comfortable in it. Are they going to be better than their opponent? If not, it's like a draw.
Okay, fair.
That's my opinion. What about you?
No, I was going to say it's interesting because Brian was at ITT, and like we actually gave him the option of he was ITT caution for Ignite, and we get they defended their orcs to give him the option of the world eaters, and they rejected it. And I spoke to him afterwards and said, if both players are actually of equal skill, he actually admitted that, and this is Brian admitted that the world eaters have a slight edge over this matchup, not a massive one, not like blown out, but it's like have a slight edge. So it's definitely, I'd say, slightly world eater favored. I don't know if it's 4 world eaters favored. I'd probably still put it down for Fray, like on the safer side. But yeah, it's
sure. But I honestly think the skill matters so much in that specific matchup
100%.
that it is almost like in a perfect world with two exactly the same skilled opponents, it might be like a 3 or like a slight world eater advantage. But god damn it, if you make one mistake or anything, the orcs are gonna get you.
Bite you in the ass. Yeah,
exactly. So
yeah.
I would
happen
say
at challenge, right?
Yeah, exactly. Multiple times. It happens all the time.
All right, good one. Then we have Aspect Host, and again, a very confident.
Wrong.
I think this is wrong, but I think
tell me all about it.
I think it's true in a context, or like.
Is it maybe he gave it a 4 because it's Terraform on Crucible, or
that's worse?
Doesn't matter.
That's worse for.
I agree. It's worse.
I think this is good for Eldar if Eldar play it how they should.
Which you have to assume that they do, right? When it comes to that,
you should do that. Yes.
In the void, you have to. Yeah.
Yeah, like I think with most of Eldar players I spoke to, most World players that I speak to, it's the Eldar actually has the damage and the speed to like get around the blood surges and all of that, and has damage to actually kill the bricks quite efficiently, and can make blood surges annoying with like Jane's are blood surgeon to fight first and actually shoot and kill most of a brick and move block. And I think the issue here with specifically if you factor in Terraform is usually World Eaters are very good at winning the trash war, as so to say, with the spawn, but
Eldar have even more trash.
Oh yeah, they have even more trash, but they have the non-interactive aspect of the fire dragons kill you, hop off, and then the issue is going to happen very quickly for the World Eater player here is that all of their spawn are going to be dead pretty much turn 2. All of the objectives are going to be terraformed, and the World Eater player literally cannot afford to unterraform them anymore at that stage. And the primary starts to wreck out a little bit out of control, whilst already being a not great matchup for them. But you have to play but this feels more like a matchup that's more on the Eldar player to like how people say we have to play correctly. Where if it's basically this matrix is like if the Eldar player is should be favored for Eldar, but it's almost entirely in the hands of the Eldar player to actually tell you what this matrix is or how this game is going to go. Because if you're playing vs like not maybe the best player, you can definitely run it over World Eaters. It has the tools to. But if the Eldar player plays it correctly, you're losing that game. The Eldar player's coming back with 13 to 15 points.
And the Eldar player essentially gets to choose their fights and where they want to fight.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. The Eldar player dictates how many points they get in this game. It can be 0, it can be 15. It's not down to the World Eater. Is the issue here?
Okay. All right, and then the last one is into Death Watch, which is, I guess, still a niche in Poland in terms of armies. I don't know how many reps you potentially get against this. So in the majority
Not
of
really.
cases, I think it's like a guess when you have to. It's a guesstimate even to say like when you
No,
try to assess it.
Deathwatch still flies under the radar so hard that
Yeah,
it went so well at WCW. It had no right to. Even the best players in the entire world don't know what the fuck this army does still,
right.
which is crazy. It's
Get a
not that good, but holy shit, you will lose to it like one time maybe, and that's all it needs, right?
get a Raven
Um,
Guard, did.
so it's kind of similar, right? It's
Yeah,
uppy
Yeah, it was.
downy, but it's worse like Raven Guard in my opinion. It's
yeah,
uppy
yeah.
downy. It's like it deals surprising like the Indomitor kill teams deal a surprising amount of damage.
It's not an
Uh,
insane amount. It's a surprising amount.
it's a surprising amount, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not night killing amount, for example.
Mm-hmm.
They definitely shouldn't do that unless they really let them. Uh, I think this list is kind of interesting because it has like 3x5 incursors. It has some chuff that I really like. I actually love the Reavers, small piece, but I tested them in like Raven Guard. I think it surprised people. I think people went, Deathwatch, this does something. I have no fucking idea. I will put a yellow into it. And then they uppy, then they downy, and they will just kill you if you have the right profile for it.
Let me see how he did, by the way.
67% win right there. Must be good. Or good before.
Where are
I think
you?
they are currently the top army in terms of win rate
Oh,
in
he
the
went
entire.
4-1. He went 4-1
Yeah,
with.
Kurz did really well. I saw that, and I'm not surprised by this result. I think he played that army like when I played Deathwatch as well. I think I played a mirror against him one time or something. Deathwatch mirror, imagine that. So I definitely know he's familiar with the army, and it is not bad. I know that like David will tell you that it's the worst army in the entire fucking game. It's definitely
Mhm.
not that bad.
So I'm not going to reveal what the score of like Coach's game was because this might have been the one out of the foreign one, but we'll get there in a moment. I just want to go through the rest of the list. So we have the Space
Mhm.
Wolves, the interesting list with 3x3 cavalry, and then the headhunters 2x6 and so on. What do you think about those estimations into the lists above? Two against Drukari, two against
Sure,
Eldari. So it sounds like
sure.
somebody touched him in a bad way. Some
I
elder
mean,
player,
I
basically.
think I agree. I can see how those happen. I think I agree with the Deathwatch one. I think you should run through it if you play it properly. You have more pieces that deal proper damage to the squads. Uh, Orcs, sure, around the three is okay.
The issue with Orcs is that for me, it's Warhorde. The fight on death is actually quite annoying
It's incredibly annoying, but
because he doesn't have a Vect piece, does he? In his
not
list,
really.
yeah, so it's like
It is definitely a problem. I agree. I think I struggle to rate orcs. Is my problem. I struggle to rate orcs as in like I know that they are extremely good, but I unless I'm playing a super
right.
gallant player, I cannot respect them in any way. But I know that like if you play that one player that can push them to the limit and like swing the entire 20 men with the gas chain ball across your table, you're going to end up with extra like just nothing. And that can happen. I don't know. I maybe just disrespect orcs in that way. I think on paper, if I would rate this, if we attach like Brian's name to this, I'm putting a 2 for Space Wolves there. Sure. I like on principle, if we are rating the army on its best performance, I think I agree that it is a little bit fucked
How
because
about
of the
Tau?
fight. So this
Is
is the
that like
difficult
overly
one.
optimistic or
Mm,
So so
hear me out?
hear me out as in, like I think Nas is going to disagree with me because everybody I talked with about this disagrees with me. But Poland In Poland, we respect Tau. Okay, in Poland, Tau is broken, and you will find. And we are playing on WTC boards. Do remember that we are playing on the closed boards, and Tau is entirely broken here. It's really hard to legitimately counter it. The top scorer of the entire event was Tau. Some of the top teams brought Tau. Most of the top teams brought Tau. Tau is legitimately fucking broken in Poland. That is the current state of the things. That is different to whatever.
Now,
Yeah.
but just quickly to interrupt that, like, I'm not disagreeing with the whole Tau is good argument because Tau has also been performing quite well here for us. Mostly the Monkar build, I would say.
What
Like
did he
the
say? Was it red card actually?
yeah,
But yeah.
red card does fine with Kyle using it. Like
Mhm.
like it's not doing terribly. It's not like blowing anything out of proportion. It's very much mostly the Monk card that's performing quite well. But how much are you going to attach that? You arguably have one of your better players within your community also playing that army. Do you feel like that makes that maybe inflates your perception of Tau? Because I'm not disagreeing with the fact that Tau is Tau is strong. I'm not going to refute that. But we just say that it's super very strong in your community because arguably some of your better players in the community are using that army. Because that's
So that was my first idea as well. Um, it's very obvious that you'll always look at the army from the skew perspective of like one good player and it happens a lot of the time.
Mhm.
But this is not the case. A lot of players that are good, but not like super
Good.
good, not like national team level, are playing Tau, and they are doing exceptional with it as well.
Mhm.
It's consistently good with good player sense. Not
So
like it's not like one guy is doing amazing with Tau. It's like good players are doing amazing with Tau.
so let me tell you, and just before because I want to tell you what scores he brought with that Tau list. But before I do that, I need to make a small correction because Kurch didn't go 4-1. He actually had 4 wins and a draw. Now, Piotr, who was playing this Tau list, he went 4-1, as in 4 wins, 1 loss. The loss was to this team that we are discussing, so Kościerzyna. And the other scores were 18-2 into Custodes, 15-5 into Chaos Space Marines, 18-2 into Necrons, 20-0 against Eldari.
Low
So,
scores. Yeah.
nice. Well done. Impressive.
Tau is
Um,
broken. Then.
Tau is broken, absolutely.
And
Nerf,
everybody here beats it.
nerf banned them. So CSM. CSM into Drukari gave a 3, gave a 3 into Eldari, gave a 3 into Deathwatch. The rest pretty positive. Do you agree? Do you disagree?
I disagree on the Tau one. There, I know that matchup. It's not as good for the CSM as the player there thinks it is. Because the issue you're gonna have is that those warp turns are good, but like the one Overwatch away from like not being able to kill anything anymore. It's just um, and like for in yeah no like you actually have the damage in this tower list to go through most of the CSM stuff. So I disagree on that one. So main one that comes to mind.
Okay, Pumba, any comments on this? Or
Mm,
do we just
I
move on
agree
to
with I agree with Nas. Other than that,
mm,
s- if
It
I'm
looks
gonna be honest, the CSM list just puts through everything in my opinion.
yeah,
That
yeah,
is
it's an all-rounder, like,
like
yeah,
legit.
it has like one matchup it wins, 1 to 2 matchups in the night that it wins, draws the others, and maybe
Yeah,
has a loss. Like
mm.
that's
yeah.
essentially that's just
All right.
basically.
Chaos Knights. Horrible, apparently, according to the player, horrible into Aspect House. So the Fire Dragons really must have touched him badly once at
I
least in the past.
disagree. I think
And
it's a little bit worse because of the Avatar. I think Avatar legitimately makes this matchup better for Elder,
mhm,
not one of the many actually where the Avatar shines. But I don't think it's a completely doomed matchup on your table choice.
mhm.
I'm sorry. I will always assume CK has its table choice. It's just too good at it.
CK gets his table choice.
That's
The
what I.
issue I have with actually I've noticed there's quite a few people actually they will just try to put the like community accepted answer for pairings. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
Like and an example of this is a lot of people would put EC into Eldar as a good matchup for EC, which 100% should be. However, when you actually like I assume with Poland, you know your community quite well with how everybody knows one another. You can usually not always, but like factor in the player skill element to it. You can say, like for example, Duda's not going to lose to someone from
Yeah.
Krakow using EC for his second event, for
Yeah.
example. Um, it's like and this feels like this is one of those. It's where the community accepted answers. CK loses to um, Eldar, whereas actually with this CK list, this is the one that beats NS, which goes to show like there is the game there for that game to be a free, especially if they have an avatar to maybe even be a four. But realistically, it's probably anywhere between within that range.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, again, if Pumba says that for them the CK army is always a defender, it must mean that it's reliable into anything. So, I guess that is like very doom and gloom sort of estimation.
I
Um,
think actually in this particular case, I think maybe even the Drukari matchup is worse for it than the other matchup. That's my
because of
take on
the
it.
scourges, right?
The
And
Haywire Scourges are a bitch. Are a complete
There's
fucking
two,
nightmare
there's
still.
two AOS Scourges and one Lance, yeah.
It's
Because that you don't get to interact with.
exactly
mhm,
like
Similar to the Fire Dragons, but you can force the Fire Dragons because they don't interact with you from a Wave Serpent, which you can force angles with. These guys just shoot you and then scoot back, and
yep,
there's nothing you can do about that. Just
yeah.
and like even the Hellions aren't particularly bad into you because of the lance profile.
Hmm.
hmm
All right. Last but not least, orcs. The very interesting kind of player dependent list as we described it. Very positive. Like as a captain, I would love to see those colors.
I'd actually be worried if I see those colors as a captain.
True.
It's-
So a different take, I guess, but like I mean, again, shows confidence of the player in his list and his skill, I guess.
Mhm.
And in a moment I'll tell you how he did and against whom, because I find it extremely interesting. But let's first discuss why you would be worried seeing those colors. What's wrong in here according to your judgment?
So for me, a lot of the time, if a player has nothing but winning such draws matchups in their matrix, it usually means a few things. One is that they don't actually understand what they can lose to, which is a problem in and of itself that we have to address. Um, but sometimes showcases maybe not overconfidence. But the main thing for me is if if this army doesn't lose to anything in the game, why doesn't everybody take it? Is the first thing. Um, and two, do you as the player understand what your loss conditions are really? And it feels like from this matrix, like it just feels like the player in some matchups where he's put down a draw might not be draws, and he's put them down as draws for this because he feels like he doesn't know that
He
matchup.
doesn't know, yeah, and he
Yeah,
starts with a draw and then either goes up or down, and if he's unsure, he just leaves it at a draw.
yeah. Whereas, and like I mean, like kind of across the board for this entire matrix, there's like the fact there's only three losing matchups is like
Interesting, right?
yeah, oh, four. Sorry,
For using matchups.
but
Well,
yeah,
yeah, because the black one.
yeah.
Um,
But that'd be my main concern because I'd be like, it feels like when we leave pairings, it feels like I have to watch out more with this player, more so compared to others where we put him into a draw, but really we ask him about he doesn't know the matchup too well, where it can actually and cause a blowout because usually blowouts are caused from one of two things I find at WTC, or at least when it comes to like similar level. One is information mismatch, uh, which is usually the biggest thing, and the second one is just an actual hard counter. But like the information mismatch and often feels like it's very likely to happen here at some point. You don't
Hmm.
know when. It's a
Hmm.
ticking time bomb, and it's going to cost you a round at some point during the event unless it's addressed.
Hmm. I mean, yeah, again, in a void, this could be interpreted in two ways. Either they are extremely optimistic, or they know their armies really well, or they
hmm
just made mistakes outright, and that's it. Um, in this setup, when I know they like really put a lot of preparation, and because this was widely discussed in our let's say, this local Discord, that
Mhm.
these guys really put in a lot of practice. I tend to lean towards like they knew what they were doing,
Mhm.
and now I can tell you that Bofshal in his first game. I mean, okay, look, no, I'm not going to tell you this because I have one more question about this that I don't want to skew your opinion with by giving you the end scores of this matchup.
Mhm.
Seeing this, knowing that it's Terraform and Crucible, which of those would you go with as the first defender?
Who for
No,
the
for these guys, like we're
first defender?
discussing, yeah, them.
Well, if
Who would you defend with, and why potentially?
if you're going off of their matrix,
Yeah, that's
eh,
what I'm going for.
very likely, at least for me, I don't know. The Warrior just put table required twice, which gives me a little bit more of an inkling that he needs his board for two of those matchups to get his result.
Mm.
Maybe not always. The other one is also very much the orcs because the orcs can play anything. So whatever.
So I wouldn't
So
go with CK because potentially you can get these two and then you're
Yeah,
fucked. Like,
exactly.
those
so
two.
yeah,
Again,
like
if we're going off of their matrix, otherwise it's
Exactly.
yeah.
like
That's
yeah,
first we're discussing this
yeah.
based on their matrix, and then let's see how you would do it, in your own sort of matrix. But here, judging by what they put in, like I would feel World Eaters potentially maybe
Or the,
CSM sound good as a defender because again sounds like an all rounder that does evenly brings a draw
yeah.
almost every time.
The CSM
Hmm.
And
warriors
the
or
orcs,
orcs makes the most sense if you
yeah.
go for that because in theory they don't lose to anything, so you can put them down, and if they give you like I don't know, like Eldar, you can take the Eldar roll out because Eldar is like half of the losses on the Matrix.
All right, and now going or leaving this matrix for a moment and just focusing on the armies and what they potentially could play, how would you choose the first defender? Like knowing because some of the lists are like net listed, you know them by heart. The orcs list, I mean, we know what it is, but it's like very specific, kind of wonky. So how would you go about like defending with these armies in this matchup?
Pumba has seen 10,001 futures, and he can tell you what it is on all of them.
That is, you will always end up defending CK. Like this is the hilarious things we for the majority of the event we were like defaulting to defending CK because it is just like a defender list. So
Mm.
unless we found something specific that we couldn't do it against, we would defend CK. And then after like when we were playing our fourth round first game of the second day against one of the top teams, we spent a lot of time preparing the major. Like we were like, we cannot defend CK, they are obviously expecting us to defend the CK, so we spent 4 hours thinking about it and we ended up with defending CK, and that was definitely the correct choice, by the way. It was
All
maddening,
right.
by the way. But yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. All right, so let me reveal the scores, and you might be surprised by some of those. So Bofshal, our local orc, like the probably the best orc player right now in the north of Poland, he played into Eldari. What do you think he did? He brought.
I think he won. I think that Orclist will, if especially if he's good, will prove an average Eldar player a lot of
Lost.
trouble. If he deployed aggressively and went first, he could have 20-0'd it, I believe it.
I mean, I want to say that that's exactly what happened, but that's exactly the score he brought. It was 20-0 into that Eldari list,
Mm.
which is great. Well done. Then we have Safer. So Safer on CK went into Tau. What do you think he brought?
I think. Yeah, go ahead, Nas.
No, I was going to say, could you just scroll up again just very quickly to the towel list?
Yep. That's a red card. Fire nice, fire nice, fire
No
nice.
Sun Forges
No
No
for
Sun
Sun
Forges.
Forges.
okay,
No Sun
probably
Forges and no Riptides.
no two Riptides.
Sorry, no Broadsides.
Yeah, no roadside. So
Yeah, so no
definitely
heavy shooting.
win in this case. I'd say he delivered on the green that he had. At the
I
very least.
agree. I think it's good for the Knights.
So he brought 14 points out of this one. So you're
Mhm.
correct.
2-4-2. 2-4-2.
Then we have CSM. So let me quickly search for him. What do you I mean, sorry, Mac. is it that? Is it? Yeah. Okay, got it.
Sorry.
Couldn't find him for a sec. So he played into Death Watch. He estimated as a 3. What do you think he did? Or
I
brought?
think he lost that because he played that first time. I think it was like 7 or an 8 loss.
It was a 9-11 loss. So very close. I mean, he wasn't far off from his estimation. Fine.
I mean, 9/11 loss is a free.
Yeah, it's legitimately a 3, right?
Yeah. It's
Hit the
actually,
matrix. Hit the
Yeah,
matrix.
Matrix.
yeah. So he knew what he was doing.
So they've won the round now, and then
And then we have the Space Wolves. So that is. Oh god, the spelling of that name. I love it.
supposed to win.
I told you
it.
that site is like impossible to navigate if you want to.
Well, so got it. We have Space Wolves played into the Orcs.
Oh,
They did 12-8. So again, nice.
I
Over.
think better than we would expect, to be honest. But
Yeah, interesting stuff must have
melee
happened there,
matchups, man. Melee matchups.
Yeah.
As I've told you, entirely skill dependent, in my opinion.
Yeah, but a nice surprise for the team. I would say, like bringing over estimation. And then we have Bog playing the. Oh, sorry.
Jukai, right? It's
Playing. Yeah, that's the last one. That
the
was
non-spectacle
left.
Ricari.
the
20.
non-spectator Jukai.
20.
I think it's.
I think he brought back your what's one higher than the green, a 5.
So that ended up
I think
16-4 for the World
Got it.
Eaters.
Got it.
Yeah.
So well done, amazingly done, good estimation. Again, those tables weren't far off, it seems. Do we want to do another one? I mean, we have been talking for an hour and 26 minutes already. Do we? I think the next one will go faster. But do we want to go ahead with another round and just have a quick look?
If we do it really quickly.
Yeah, so let's do it really quickly. I'm just gonna see who they. Ooh, 1670. So this is the team that came in third.
Yes.
Correct.
So let's have a look at that one because that is, I think, really interesting. A very strong team. Grzeli used to be part of Team Poland. Karol, I think, as well. And then Niltag, one of the best Necrons in Poland. Just beaten by Gito, probably. So those are the lists. So we have Grzeli, as usual, on Dark Angels. Then we have Admech. Then we have Death Guard. Then we have CK. On a similar list, but this is the Rotigus one. And then we have Niltag on Necrons. And let me just quickly have a look what that was. That was. I can't find the detachment. Star Shatter Arsenal is Star Shatter.
Silencing Freedom Sake. Yeah.
All right. So we have these estimations. Not as confident as the previous one, but still, World Eaters 3, 3.
By the way, I'm gonna ask a quick question. Is that their matrix like 1-to-1?
Yeah.
Is that what they sent you?
Yeah,
so they don't put the detachment in their list as they estimate them?
Apparently. And
which is, by the way, big fucking mistake to make if you're preparing for a team event. I'm just gonna mention it as a legitimately thing you should do.
Have a detachment there because there's a big difference between Awaken, for example, in that list on right and Star Shatter. Now,
or
it looks like a Star
what
Shatter
kind
list.
of Dark Angels that is, or what kind of the Rokari that was, right?
Is it? Yeah.
Legitimately, the detachment
is it like a Wrath of the Rock, where it's actually fucking just a nightmare to kill? Is it like the glide? It does actually make a difference.
I'm gonna venture a guess here that if you look at the estimation tables for them, and you look at round 1, you have the win percentages, which means they invested a little bit more time into this because they knew in advance what they're going to be playing because this was established earlier.
Yes.
Then round 4, which happens on Saturday morning, so on Sunday morning, so on Saturday evening you probably already know who you're playing. Again, we have the win rates that they checked, which again shows that they probably put a little bit more time into preparing those estimations. But the other rounds don't have the win rate. So again, it's just a guess, but an educated one. That they simply weren't prepared, or they didn't assume they would be playing this team. So
Yeah.
these estimations probably were done on a quick,
Not
um,
like
and that's why their
indeed.
detachments are not there. But they probably knew what the detachments were. So uh, that's how I would explain it. I need to ask Bog after
Mhm.
tomorrow if that is a correct guess. But anyway, we have 3, 3, 4, 2, 4 with world leaders. Do you agree? Do you disagree, and why?
I
Oh
think that
my!
this gets fucking trounced by the Deathwing Knights personally, but
I think it gets demolished by most of those lists.
yeah,
World leaders get demolished.
yeah.
Yes,
I
I
think
think they are fine in Death Guard. Let me look at the Death Guard list. But I
the Death Guard
assume
list does it have Black Lords? No. Okay, that's
no. The
fine.
Light Throats, triple Death Shroud with like roller condition virulence. Yeah, I think it's fine there. I think it does match up. I think it's fine into Necrons. I think it gets demolished by Knights, destroyed by Deathwing Knights, and destroyed by Admech especially.
Do you want to? Sorry, do you want to venture a guess what that detachment was?
The Death Guard one?
Yep,
Hammer.
hammer. Hmm.
I
Is
think
it
it's
Hammer?
it's
Oh,
Hammer.
he's got triple Death Shroud.
I think it's Hammer.
It is.
Yeah.
It is hammer. Yep. All right. So again, bold estimations here. According to
I think I disagree with most of them, unfortunately.
okay, interesting
3 of
take.
them specifically.
Yeah. I think 2 of them are fine. I think that his 4s are where they should be. I think those 3s are completely overestimated.
So
I think firstly those threes again brings back to the issue that I had before is where the player maybe doesn't want to put down that he's got a loss here so he can maybe get a draw, but those games are not draws. Like I'm sorry, I've played that Deathwing Knights games. You said World Eaters. It's not you're not you're not killing that. You're not killing that anywhere fast enough to the point where they can kill you. Um, no, it's a lot.
okay. Would um, Death Guard on Virulent Actorum be better or worse into World Eaters? Like if the Death Guard goes -1
I
to
I
weapon
can
skill and so on.
no, you still got +1 save. So I
Yes,
can tell
exactly.
you,
Every time.
as the person who's played this matchup, I think it's varied a few times. But the issue is that you actually killed the warriors actually quite fast. Funnily enough, like the Death Shard are funny enough not even your best tool in that matchup. I actually find at least uh, my list is on the fact that it has the Black Lords, but it's always been anywhere between 13 on like the more favorable missions for them. 13 to like 16 has been the range that I found when I've played that game, because usually you're able to grind through the berserkers towards the end, but they usually do have like the early primary tempo. So I'd feel better when it comes to that, especially because the sticky objectives actually matters a lot, because it means you can just move forward with all of the Death Guard, and the -1 damage means you don't actually take too much more damage back, which means you're more susceptible to actually tagging them big bricks. Unlike here, where the 2 damage weapons, like even if they're stuck in combat with lethals, can actually kill through you fast enough.
Hmm.
Pardon me. So I think it would basically flip in terms of that, at least for me.
All right. Okay. How about Space Wolves? So again, looks fairly positive. Is it justified positive or overestimating?
I think
I think they're
again,
slaughtered by Admech personally.
yeah, I think Admechas are absolutely unplayable for this list.
Like it doesn't advance and charge, and like the Admech players faster.
It doesn't
It's harder.
fly. It
Dude,
doesn't
yeah, it
fly.
doesn't fly, dude. It's
It doesn't fly. It cannot play Admech, bro. It
And
doesn't fly. It doesn't
Scorch.
fly. Unfortunately, you have no play there.
it doesn't fly, dude.
Yeah, you need flying wolves. Like,
It
come
doesn't
on.
fly.
New idea for a unit for Space Wolves. So okay, that's that. And again, I don't think the mission matters because Scorch is just like almost
Doesn't. It's
generic.
not gonna matter, dude.
Yeah. Okay. Then we have the CSM, so the CSM all rounder. Very positive. Do you agree? Do you disagree?
If this was Liam, but I think even Liam would probably put a loss here.
That's yeah. I'm gonna.
It's like against the Admech again. It's just like
This is invoking. This is just channeling the inner Liam.
trying to get it in. I think Lee will admit that he. I think the CK game is fine. I think you can. I think that's probably a draw. I think the
Sure,
Death Guard game can actually be fine as well. But
sure.
boy, you're gonna have a bad time with that admech list, and also, funnily enough, I think with that Necron list on its table pick because of actually its speed.
Yes, I think so. I think you struggle against those specific pieces that the Necrons provide. Uh, I'm not sure about the Deathwing Knights matchup, to be honest.
It feels like there's enough random because the issue, right, is that the
I think you can really chop them up in multiple
yeah you can
instances of damage, right? AOC isn't that effective and stuff.
yeah you can bring them down a bit, and and there's also Cypher there, which actually helps that matchup a bit.
Yeah, and
Uh,
the Preds. Yeah, I think it's fine.
oh yeah, I think you can actually kill enough of them where by the time you connect with stuff like either the Van Vets or the Bile Break or like even the Powered Up Lord, or remember like the Obliterators that are like damage 4 down to 3 still do a number with Oath.
Mhm.
So I think it's fine as a matchup.
All right. Okay. Good. Then our typical defender CK, not that confident in the assessment of how that might go. So, what do you think? Is the CK into CK really a flippy one, or would you put it down as a draw outright?
I think that matchup is from my understanding is if both CK players want to be like, hey, no, we're going to sit behind our walls, and they're like, sweet 10-10. The issue that you have is like one of the CK players can be like, all right, a 10's not good enough. We're gonna get crazy, and usually, unfortunately, it sometimes has to be that person that and then has to be the first one to go out, and if they can tank that hit, can then hit back if that makes sense. So I think
Hmm.
that matchup, you know, can be either or. It generally can be either or. So I think it's fair to leave it down as a swing because it's generally dependent on what the opposing CK player wants to do. If that CK player wants to push out with his army, tell him deal with me. Otherwise, I'm going to move and shoot you next turn. And then
Hmm.
and then that play comes out, bounces. Then it's probably bad news because as you know, there's going to be carnivores there charging him next turn as well.
It's a
Um,
10-10 unless someone decides it's not.
yeah,
And then one
exactly.
player loses because they need to tank or flip or some shit.
Yeah,
So is
and that's conflict.
Rotigus here? Is Rotigus a crutch? Is it like, what do you think?
Brodicus doesn't do any damage. Dude. You just fucking just like kind of like
But
He
then
just
again,
sits on
he's
one
a sponge.
objective, and unless the like, it's all about the knights actually fighting each other. Because Dortigers is just not getting to a knight
he's
ever.
he's
He's just sitting on an objective.
he's watching by the weight side, and the
Yeah,
issue you're
that's
gonna have is that they're just gonna ignore Rotigus, and then they're gonna park a knight on an objective, and then Rotigus doesn't hold that objective anymore.
So isn't Rotigus like, this distraction carnifex and a sponge for all
if
the
like
all
I
that
mean if
shooting?
you're
If you want to shoot him, you'll
that's sure, but you shouldn't.
You
yeah.
shouldn't.
You just should deal with everything else.
Like I'd actually feel more confident here with as the other night player without Rotigus because I can be like push out. Here's my army. Here's the Beast of Nurgles and all of this shit as well. I'm gonna ask you to go for the flip. I have more. I have like the better resources compared to you, and then we're gonna go for this flip
Yeah,
because the issue with them is like that player can just put Rotigus and be like I'm gonna try and hold prime move Rotigus and have this more winning side of the free. Maybe even
yeah,
get like
but,
a low
but
four.
as the other blind player, you can send out 3 beasts. You can control the objectives without like with minimal resources,
Hmm.
whereas the other player needs to commit some small knights. Even you can do some nice tricks with even the plague bearers, especially in this matchup. Like you probably find screening with other shit, like with Nurglings against knights. So you
Mhm.
can just chain plague bearers, do some crazy stuff with them, sticky objectives, and push out stuff like that. So I think the CK like the 3 beasts is favored there, but sure, it's a flip. If
Hmm.
someone decides it's a flip, it's going to be a flip.
Okay. How about this two against the Necrons? Does it have like respect towards Doomsday arcs written all over it, or is it just
I think it's respecting it a little bit too much personally.
mhm,
Um, because there's definitely the potential for the Doomsday Arcs to go and kill it, but the issue that I have is that if that knight decides to like shoot a Doomsday Arc, there's like a very real chance that like one knight just like kills a Doomsday Arc because the issue is like one knight can kill a Doomsday Arc, at least has the spike potential to do it. I haven't seen a Doomsday have the spike potential to kill a knight. Yeah, it's gonna take 2 at the minimum, sometimes 3. Because they still have the shot count. They need to go through and if you push with your knights and you're not on the objective, so they have to hit you on freeze, and you push up with multiple of them all in once. You can't drip food with your knights as long as you push it with all of it. You can definitely push a big win with the CK here. It feels like, especially against this type of list that doesn't have as much cross combat punch, with the exception of the flayed ones.
I think it would be fine for CK. At least a 3. I think 3 would be completely fine.
All right.
If you don't like the matchup, put it as a 3 in this case.
And then the other two, I think I will agree. This one is a challenge always. This one depends on the roles, really.
Kind of.
And then we have orcs. Orcs showing some respect towards Dark Angels.
Yeah, like the jail and it doesn't work against us, right? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
you're not alpha striking this one.
Sure. Then the flippy one against Death Guard, and I can understand why.
Interesting.
This is surprising to me.
I think this is based on Bofshell's experience in our North of Poland meta, because he has played this matchup a couple of times against another orc player who also plays Death Guard, and I don't think he always ended up successful. So this is again coming from that experience that he has, but I need to confirm that with him, to be honest, because I didn't ask. But again, it's an educated guess. And then these two as greens. Do you agree that this is these orcs are green into the Necrons?
It's hard for me to assess this orc list. I think it's so non-standard that I don't think the jail plan works against that because of the flail ones and all of that stuff. So unnecessary thing. I know Gito would have put it as green for the Necrons, but this again is like a Liam problem all over again. So not very helpful.
All right. So again, Bog was the captain of this one. Being the captain of a team that gives you an estimation like this, and we're discussing estimations that we see on the screen, which army would you go with as the first defender, and why?
I think the one that put 5 tables required, that would be it, right? Yeah. I think there's definitely a code here that we can decipher.
Yep, and it's not the colors, it's just a requirement.
Give me the board, please. I need it.
Someone is asking for a board pick.
Although we have another one with 4 tables required. So, they fight for that spot, I guess. Yeah, okay.
I think probably Bird, because he wins that argument, because he's the captain.
Because he's the captain, he gets to decide at the end. All right, so
he also has one number to avoid, but yeah.
So the last thing that I want to do is, like in the case of the previous round, I'm just gonna let you guess what the scores were. So Bofshell, I'm going to start with him because I have him on the other screen. He got paired into, and I don't think it ended up the way they wanted, but he got paired into Grzeli, so he got paired into Dark Angels. What do you think happened there? And what was the end score?
He got a 1, a 0 or 1. I'm going to go with a 1.
He got obliterated. It was a 20-0 for Dark Angels. So unfortunate, but well, Grzeli is a former Team Poland player, so again, playing against him and Dark Angels are his baby. He doesn't play in anything else, I think, so he definitely knows what he's doing. Then we have Safer. So Safer got paired into Chaos Knights. So this list with Braticus. What do you think he estimated a flip? What do you think he did?
Jesus,
I think 10. Yeah, I think if the other player probably was like, we're gonna win anyway, so exactly. I don't need to do anything crazy. So probably a Fray.
So he brought 9 points.
There we go.
I think it's yeah. So well done. I mean, not bad. Not amazingly well, but not bad. Then we have Mac. Let me have a quick look at his matchup.
I'm more curious if he got board pick.
True.
That I don't know. I won't be able to tell you. But he was playing against. Uh, he was playing against Mechanicus.
Oh, 2 points, like actual points.
5 points. Bump it to a 7. It's Carol. Bump it to a 7.
It's Carol. Honestly, I don't know these players.
It's Carol. Obviously. Uh,
Bump it to
so
a 7.
he brought a whopping 12.
Jesus
Oh,
Christ.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So
Carol, mate. It's
it
Carol.
would be. Yeah, Carol, what happened? It would be very interesting to like get to more. Sorry, to get to know more about this one because that's a surprising score. But again, well played
It is.
to the guys. Then we have Pistachio again. So searching for him really quickly. There we go. Space Wolves. He played against Necrons. He estimated a 3. What do you think he brought?
Against that list, he probably brought back.
I think he got rolled by Doomsdays, is what happened.
Yeah.
I think he got a. I think he underestimated the Necron damage as everybody does. I think he brought a 5 back.
He brought a 1.
Yeah,
So 1 to 19
checks out.
against Neiltag. And again, it's Neiltag, so no surprises there. But all due respect to Ptasio, it's just I know Neiltag is a beast. And then we have Bog on his World Eaters. What do you think he brought? And I can't find him on the list. I don't know
I'm
why.
gonna say 10.
So he played. Sorry, you probably worked this out. He played against Death Guard.
I think we're back 7.
But a 5. So 5 to
Oh.
15.
Oh.
I think he. Yeah, I don't know whether it was rolls or something, but that was definitely the one not delivered. And yeah, what was the final score of this one? Let me quickly see.
It was basically 2 blowout losses is the issue, right? 2 blowout losses, 1 draw, 1 small loss, 1 small win.
Yeah.
This was the only game that the team had lost. So they lost it. All the other matches that they played, it was a win. And I think we will finish here because we just don't have time to do more. But yeah, I think that was very informative. I think, I mean, I enjoyed it a lot to get your insights into it, and I think I'm also doing it for the team, just to show them what pro players think of their lists, their estimations, and whether there is room for improvement. So I think I'm going to be doing more of that format. But then again, our listeners and viewers, do let me know if you enjoyed this one, because like I think it gives great insight into like the team play, understanding the armies, understanding the pairings, and so on and so on. So yeah, drop a comment or send me a private message to let me know what you think about this one. I'll use the opportunity. I don't have Joker to do this. He does it normally, but I'll do it. So use the opportunity to thank our sponsors, so the Army Painter and Weyland-Yutani, for their support, ongoing, never-ending support. We'd really appreciate it. Have a look at our Patreon and our subscribe on YouTube, and do all the social media stuff that we always request. Nas, Pumba, do you want to advertise anything before I let you go? Pumba, is there another Enter the Matrix coming?
I don't know. Ask Nas about that. He's the host of the Matrix now.
So you know what I'm gonna say is that when a certain event is deleted from my memory, I will happily go into the.
Would you like to discuss the Prestige event at the upcoming Enter the Matrix with your hosts, co-hosts, actually, Brian Sipe and Liam VSL, 2 great players from different WPC teams? Would you like to discuss some English events that were happening last weekend? I think that would be very insightful.
To be fair, though, I think the worst part about prestige was that I played with Brian and lost 11-9. That's the worst part.
Ooh,
That's the worst part.
that's even better. I need to
That's
make that episode happen, bro. I'm
Uh-huh.
gonna actually just
that's
organize the
that's
boys.
Pumbaa's gonna come back to just host this one.
Legit, I might do that. It would be worth it.
that's just like the worst timeline. And I was like, oh, we'll be fine here. It was not fine.
That was not fine.
So, to everyone listening, if you've been hiding under the rock and you don't know what Enter the Matrix is, that is the team's coverage of a stat check. So, by all means, go check that out. This is even more informative than the episode that we did today, or it's like the episode that we did today, but every single time. So every single episode is like full of value, full of great insights, and full of great players that discuss team events. So just go there, subscribe, watch, pay them money because they will bring amazing content as well. And I guess we will end with this one. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Pumba. Thank you, Nas. It has
Thank you for
been
having
an
us on.
extreme pleasure to host you. And I hope we can repeat that sometime soon. So thanks a lot.
Absolute
And
pleasure. Thank you for having us.
Pleasure, thanks for having us, and goodbye.
and to our listeners, see you next time. Thank you and good night.